better get a renter in here.
Scramble.
You know, scramble, find a renter. Open, clean that room up in the back, you know, that one in the garage, convert the garage into a bedroom, whatever you gotta do. Get a renter in there, get a lease in place, pay the $4,000. What the attorneys will do is before the foreclosure, they will literally file a notice with the courts in advance of foreclosure. They'll actually file this paperwork that says, hey, there's a tenant in here for 2 years. And then the bank, when the bank does foreclose, they're going to see that filing. Before they foreclose, they're going to see that filing and they're going to go, oh crap, we got to build one of these.
Who pays the utilities? Is it the owner?
The owner?
Not the tenant.
The tenant. And the lease specifically has that the tenant, that the owner pays all that stuff. You don't want the tenant to pay it because then the bank can just come in and say, well, we'll put somebody else in there. It has to be, all that stuff needs to be provided for by the
Would
owner.
it be possible after a couple of years for the homeowner to keep his property? Maybe the economy turns around.
Well, when we get to this part, I'm going to show you how you can actually either get the property back, either not lose it or get it back from the lender.
Use all the rent money to buy it back.
So this gives you 2 years to do this. Okay. Yeah.
It seems like there's a fine line here where you can commit fraud or not. I mean, you have to, if you're collecting rent, you're supposed to pass that money on to the lender.
Not if you don't, not if the lender, no, you don't. Not, okay, this law does not state that.
No, that law does not state
now,
that, but then we've got another law that says if you're a landlord, you're collecting rent, you're not paying your bill to the bank, you just commit fraud.
But if you don't own the house anymore,
Yeah.
do you owe the bank any money?
Yeah, it's like a time
No.
thing.
When the bank takes the house away from you, is there a mortgage payment anymore?
No.
Whether you've been evicted or not, there is no mortgage payment. Understood?
No, I got it.
Okay,
But it's,
there is no mortgage payment. Mortgage payment goes away. The mortgage issue, you're right, the mortgage issue has been settled by virtue of the foreclosure. That's what foreclosure does. It says, you aren't paying your bill, therefore, this is a secured loan, we're taking your house away. Now the bank owns the house. Does the mortgage go away? Absolutely, there's no mortgage, it's gone. Who's on title? The bank is on title, but
yeah,
not you.
You gotta get the lease in place before the bank owns the property.
There you go.
So it's like,
Before they own the property, not
Yeah.
before they say they're going to foreclose, before they foreclose. So if it's a notice of default, and you know that you've got, 4 months or whatever before they're going to foreclose, maybe 6, maybe 8 nowadays. But in fact, yes, you've got 4 months to get the renter in there, or to rent the
then you
whole house.
can't collect the rent until the bank owns it, and then you can collect rent.
Well, if you want to give the bank the money for the first 4 months until they actually foreclose, then fine. That's up to you. That's an issue between you and your lender. You know? And if they come after you for it, fine. You got to give it to them. But I'm not here to address that issue. The implementation of this is up to you, but it's certainly an option. It's something you have in your hip pocket. It's something you could use. And it's something. So I'm going to go with this guy back here.
2 years is the maximum lease you can have?
The attorneys that I work with identify 2 years as the optimal point. It could be less than that, but they don't recommend you go. I said, why not 5? And they went, no. If you do 5, the judge is going to look at it sideways because 5-year leases are very uncommon. This particular lease that these homeowners that I'm working with, it's a lease option. So it's a 2-year thing with an option to buy the property at the end. And so it's a 2-year thing. But 2-year leases are common. 1-year and 2-year leases are common. If you said 5 or 20, people would look at it like you were trying to game it, and the judge may throw it out because they would look at it as like, what are you doing? This isn't right. So you don't want those alarm bells to go off, and you don't want to get a judge, looking at you sideways, because it's up to him.
So how do you get by the state law? The state, when you say they don't own the property anymore, it's illegal for you to collect rent on a property you don't own unless you have a broker's license. So how do you get by that state law?
Good question.
I'm a 30-year licensed broker, so I'm asking that question knowing the answer to the law.
I don't know. That's a good question. And maybe the rent would have to. I don't know the answer to that one. This is a brand new thing.
It's a jailable offense. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know. That's a good question. It's something that
You
might
can't
have to be
collect money
addressed.
on a property you
I
don't
would
own
say,
unless you have
I would say
broker's
that question could be answered by this attorney group before you did this. I mean, that's the thing.
To hire
Once you're in
another broker.
contact with them, you can ask all those questions. It's Richard, right? You can ask all those questions of the attorneys, and they'll tell you how it works and what you have to do. And if it's true that you have to turn that money over to the bank, well, okay, then you turn the money over to the bank.
Most attorneys have a broker's license, they're probably getting that too.
They probably are. So I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, hopefully we covered this adequately, and you know, and you'll see, you can read more all day long. You can read all kinds of issues, blogs about it. This was interesting. Next one. Is everybody okay to go on?
We're getting close. We okay?
But was that just a California thing, or is it?
This is nationwide. It's a federal law. So I'm going to do the securitized mortgage litigation really quickly. I'm going to try to brief you really quickly on this one. Okay. Securitized mortgage litigation. Litigation, we all understand. Those who are attorneys sue people. Securitized mortgage. Over 65 million homes had their titles transferred into something called MERS. That's the Mortgage Electronic Registration System by large lenders. Now, we all heard about back in 2008 where mortgages and homes were being bundled into securities, and then those securities were being traded on Wall Street. Okay, that was a big part of the mortgage meltdown issue. Okay, that's what happened, was that everything went sideways. Okay, the problem is that the way it was done was fraught with issues. The banks thought they could get away with it, but they just took these properties and they transferred title into MERS. They didn't transfer title, they just took it and transferred it into MERS and began doing all this stuff, but they never went to the courthouse, they never transferred title, and now it's not owned by Bank of America, it's owned by this one and this one and this one. Maybe some of you have homes where you were making payment here and now it's to somebody else and now it's to somebody else. More than likely, it's because of that, because it was just being traded and bought and stuff by other people. But there are 65 million of those in MERS. The problem is that MERS state courts are declaring MERS illegal and all 50 states are suing them. There is so much money because they didn't transfer title legally. They didn't go to the courthouse and transfer title and pay the $45 or whatever it was and refile it. The problem is now that the chain of title has been broken. For 65 million homes, chain of title is now broken. Now, most of us just go to, wow, that's interesting. And we go on, but wait. This affects us and you even if your house is one of those. You may not even know that your house is one of those. But now you have legal recourse that you didn't even know you had. Or your brother or your mom or whomever. Okay? The lender's ability to foreclose was destroyed in many states because the lender is no longer on title. You have to have a mortgage and you have to have a title. And if they're not on title, they can't foreclose. So, if you bought your house from Countrywide and then 5 years later Morgan Stanley comes to foreclose on you and you take them to court, the judge says to Morgan Stanley, "Who the hell are you?" And they say, "We're Morgan Stanley." And the judge goes, "You have no standing to be here. You're not on title. Go away." Judgment to the defendant, or the plaintiff in this case, because we're the ones bringing the suit. The lender's ability to foreclose has been destroyed. Millions of homeowners may have been wrongly foreclosed upon. I shouldn't say may have been wrongly foreclosed upon. And millions more cannot legally be foreclosed upon. Now, having said that, this very family that I'm helping with the lease agreement thing is one of those MERS properties. Okay? Now, right now, they're not in a position to pursue this particular thing, but they've got 2 years now. Okay? Now, they are one of these who have been wrongfully foreclosed upon. Because originally, it was some Saxon, and then Saxon was talking to him, and all of a sudden Bank of America foreclosed, and now Morgan Stanley is sending him eviction notices. And we're going, what? And it's like all over the map. And so we're going, okay, this is, and we looked them up, and yeah, they're one of the MERS properties. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. So now we got 2 years, and we're going to eventually go after the bank, and we're going to get their property back, or the value of their property. They're never going to have to live out of the house. Okay? So, The lender reaction was, biggest lenders were recently caught forging thousands of loan documents. Did you guys see that 60 Minutes
6
special?
minutes, oh, yeah.
I've got a link. I've got the link on a website that I mentioned here that you should go look at. You can determine whether or not your mortgage was securitized. It's MERS-serviceid.org. Again, I've got on this piece of paper. You can take it home with you. Okay. I've got a link to the 60 Minutes special that's here, and you can watch that. It's fascinating. It's eye-opening. And so, again, use the lease agreement if you need more time. So the first thing you do is you get a renter in there. And the next thing you do is you consider the legal option to deal with the MERS issue, which is really fascinating as well. And again, you don't need to be facing foreclosure, and contact me for more information. I'm giving you all my information. Just give me a holler. I'll point you in the right directions. I don't have time to tell you all the details, but it's fascinating. Now, on a separate note, my company, 7-Star Ventures, not 7-Star Properties, but 7-Star Ventures, I'm in a partnership with a couple of the guys. The business model that we're developing is we've got an exclusive partnership with that Beverly Hills network. They're the largest firm in the country that specializes in this, and they're currently working hundreds of cases nationwide, actually hundreds in California, and then even more hundreds in other states, mostly California. But what we're planning to do as part of our business model is we're going to start trying to contact homeowners who have already been foreclosed upon, have already been evicted, and we're going to go to them and say, do you want help in going after your lender? Most of them don't have money. The ones who have money can hire the attorneys by themselves. That's good for them. There are many of them who don't have any money. They can't afford, it's like between $18,000 to $25,000 to do this, to hire the attorneys to do this. It's, there's payment plans and stuff, but it's a lot of money. So our plan is, and our business model is, we get investor money, we take a chunk of money and we say, please go litigate 123 Main Street. And then we take another chunk of money and we say, please go litigate 14556 Oak Street. And the attorneys go and they work with the Smith family and the Jones family, and they litigate, they do that litigation. The Smith family and the Jones family end up getting the market value of the property back. You can't get the house can't come back to them if they're already out of it, they're living in an apartment somewhere. But they can get back the market value of the property if they've been wrongly foreclosed upon. These cases are being won across the country. Not many people know about them. It's not really being advertised much. Most of the court cases have gag orders that preclude that, where they've got to tie them all up and they, put a bow around it. They can't talk about it and stuff like that. Once in a while, I get a steady stream of case files where there's a win. In the state of Massachusetts, the Supreme Court has already ruled that MERS is illegal, so there is no recourse in Massachusetts for appeals or anything else. It's already gone through that process, and the Supreme Court in Massachusetts had declared MERS is illegal. So our business model says we're going to go to Massachusetts, we're going to focus there, we're going to look for homeowners who have been wrongly foreclosed upon, and we're going to assist them in that litigation in exchange for a portion of the win, if you will, for the amount from the compensatory. They'll get the compensatory damages, and we'll get a portion of the fair market value of the house that's awarded to them. So that's the business model that we're providing. We're looking for funding from investors, but we pay our investors a 30% preferred return on their money, up to 300%. And the 300% comes if we win every single case. Our investors get a 300% return. If we win half of those, they'll get a 150% return. That's not so bad. In a year, it's about a year and a half. It takes about a year for 14, 16 months for this to all happen. But it's a fascinating thing. I do actually have some links on here. I do have a couple copies of my of the investor summary and stuff like that. Here's the kicker. The other thing we're doing is we are looking for investors. We're probably tapping into a dozen investors now, and we're continuing to look for more because there's so much.